Hi, you guys. Welcome back. Sorry to be late, and I know our show is really short, so I have a bunch of things to say in a short number of minutes to do it in. I'm going to try the best I can. First of all, Doug, I can't see the usual picture. I hope we are live. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I thought about what I wanted to use the time for, and so this is the separate show just for this channel, just not the channel, just for the platform on YouTube, and to be in obedience with guidelines and terms of service and things like that, in keeping with the re-education that we got when we got suspended. So sometimes people got tired of the sarcasm and wanted something real. And I thought, all right, what can I put in? And I thought, why are we doing this? What's the purpose of the Safe Stream show, which is the version for YouTube that we're doing right now? It's not entertainment, because there's a lot better entertainment around. You could watch movies or really entertaining news shows, alternative news shows. Alex is actually very entertaining and very relevant and important, I think. So why are we doing it? And to me, it's not for entertainment, but it's for, I guess, some particular perspective on what's going on in the world right now that affects all of us. And most people don't want to know, or a lot of people don't want to know. And some of the ones that do want to know have big gaps in their understanding. And it's important that at least some small percentage of us get enough awareness of what's around us, and especially of who we are, because that's a weak spot in the agenda, the dark agenda that we're in the middle of. We're actually the weak spot in that could turn it around. So I thought, all right, you've got to take some time, and not that I have a complete answer or anything, but I've done some really unusual investigation work for many decades, and I wanted to be quiet about that, because I thought I could do more good if I actually was alive in the same physical body for a while. And then I realized, well, things are moving quickly and accelerating, and you should be visible whatever happens. So I decided to do that. So I'm going to say what I can in the few minutes that we've got here. And I've got to be aware of the time as well. Few minutes, we got about 15, 17, 18 minutes. I'm going to say some things that you can take a look at and see what you want to do with. Being aware of the constraints of language, that we're not living in a free speech country anymore, and say what I can without getting kicked off the platform. So I think the essence is that what everything comes from, we all come from the same source, aside from anybody's religion or beliefs or hopes of what's true or anything like that. What many people have found, and I've had some small experience of on my side, is that we all come from exactly the same source. I made some notes, and I hope I'm going to have time to share them with you. I'll skip what I can. In fact, light and matter and everything came through. I'm not going to try to be normally comprehensible in this talk. You can take it apart and disregard it or whatever you want, but I'm going to do it quickly, and then we'll get into more connected things on the main Lost Arts Radio live show, which you can tune into on other platforms, and you can get to those through lostartsradio.com. So the basic idea is that everything came from the same source, and that source, regardless of beliefs and all the different religions fighting with each other about who's right, essentially we're talking about an infinite love source that people call God or Spirit or the original creator or whatever you want to call it. The name doesn't affect it at all. Time doesn't even affect it. It's this incredible source that anybody who's talking about it in words is not going to succeed. But it's original, formless consciousness that's not a philosophy. It's actually something there, and it's not just real. From what I can tell, it's the only thing that is real. And in fact, David Icke had a famous saying. He said, infinite love is the only reality, and everything else is illusion. And it's easy to think, oh yeah, infinite love is the only reality. That sounds really nice. No, he meant infinite love is the only reality. Everything else is illusion. I think he was right. It's not about what we believe or what religion we're defending or identified with. It has to do with what's behind all those beliefs, the reality of it. So if that's true, and I think it is, how can there be such a mess on our planet? There should be no problem, and there is no problem until spirit, that original source, and I know I just have to go through this quickly, and whatever happens, happens. So there's no problem until spirit makes the lower levels of creation like the ones that we call the real world. Then there's an issue, because projecting consciousness into a form we call matter that makes up our world that we think is solid. Quantum physics talks a lot about that. None of this stuff is solid. It's mostly empty, not empty, but it's mostly space. So forgetting it's all projected from formless consciousness, it looks real and solid, but essentially it's closer to a movie. A 3D cause and effect world in the form of a movie that we think is real life and that we're living in. If you don't agree with this, at least it's interesting, right? So what's mind? And we got to go real quick through this because we've only got a few minutes. Mind is like the interface that allows us to comprehend and deal with this environment that's projected out of consciousness. Body is a living costume. It is alive. The chiropractors found out that there's intelligence in it. That was D.D. Palmer around 1900. But there's actually consciousness in it, not just intelligence. It's a costume you wear if you want to be able to act in so-called physical world while we're here for a little while. And body and mind are both conscious, self-aware entities capable of communicating with you. Were you aware of that? If so, have you taken advantage of it? Do you know what you could do with that? Do you know why the rulers are afraid of you? It's not because you weigh 600 pounds or are the fastest, strongest person in the world. It's way more than that. So that body and mind that we take for granted have great normal, forgotten, natural abilities that we don't use anymore. But to live here, or on levels a little bit above the physical level that we call the real world, mind projects programs, and they're dangerous. They can seem real and reliable, and many of them are incorrect or misleading. And if we follow them, we can make big, expensive mistakes. And one of those is believing that causing pain and destruction to other beings is going to be really good in the results for us. And that's the gateway to evil. It's deception. It's not real, but it becomes another projected world that looks evil. And we got a whole power structure that's involved in it now. The part that we see is the minor part. There's much more. What is made fun of as conspiracy ideas, that's nothing compared to the extent of the orchestration of the whole thing. So it's the beginning of evil, and it's an illusion. Never has any good results, but it's very seductive, and it's easy to get sucked into it. All kinds of world attractions are used for that. Doesn't mean the attractions are bad, but what they're used for is the key. So on our planet, it's been building up for a really long time. And when I say really long time, I don't mean a few years. I'm talking about tens of thousands of years with focused intent, generation to generation, passed on, coming from non-human levels. And I know any one of these statements is enough for a whole show's discussion, but I want to go through them quickly. So it's been building up for a long time. It's had a goal of total extermination of life, and it still does. And now it thinks the people in the high levels of the power structure think that that's close, and they're all excited about it. And they're out in the open. They're not being as careful to hide their intent as they were before. It's blatant now. And a lot of the world rulers, the official ones like presidents and prime ministers and health officials, especially all these crazy world rulers, are all excited because they think that by following orders, just like they did in Germany in World War II, that they're going to get some great reward. And it's just to reduce the population. They don't know what it really is, which is to eliminate not only the human population, but all species on the planet. That's the goal, to make it simple. This network has a big power structure, and it's infiltrated pretty much all the positions of power. Almost, there are some exceptions, but all the positions of power in governments and corporations and celebrities and in, media, mainstream media, entertainment. And most of the people working for it think that they're on the winning team and that they're close to succeeding in a program that's been going for a long time. But the demonic individuals at the top of the dark power structure are not that confident. They have very high levels of intelligence. They've just gone off on a wrong track, and they're looking at the prospects for total success in the program, and they see a weak spot. And they see it now. It's in the world now, and it's you. Why would you be a weak spot in the big plan to wipe out life on the planet? Because you're not who you think you are. In these little costumes, we think we're the costume. We think you're one person out of 8 billion. You can't do anything. You're not very smart. You're dependent on experts. The media says that, you need to have authorities tell you how to live your life. All of that's a fraud. Who you are, you've heard maybe the statements like you're made in the image of God. That doesn't mean that, it's because you have 2 arms, and there are some people that don't have 2 arms, or 2 legs, or you're the right height, or the right skin color, or you're the superior gender, or whatever, nationality, the chosen religion, the belief system that's better than all others. That's not it. It's because you're not any of those things. You're the being that's using those things as spirit. It's just a word, right? But there's something that the word represents that's real. And it's who you are. And that's what I was talking about other times when I was saying the key is for us to wake up, have self-awareness. At the very top of the power structure, they know that infinite light, that thing that I mentioned from David Icke, that's real, and that they're following darkness, and darkness is ultimately illusion. And they've gotten drunk and addicted to this rush of power of being able to kill and destroy other beings and cause pain. But there's a level of them that knows, even if they've fallen from something, and that something is still there. And you may disagree with me, but remember that if you're looking for truth, there's no ego involved. There's no point of view to defend, and mine or anybody else's. And what we're interested in is getting to what's true, because then we can use it and not just fighting over who's right. So at the top levels, what I found is they know that darkness is a temporary illusion and it can't last or win in the end. And they actually know that. It's just hard for them to break the addiction. If they were sane and healthy, the top level rulers, they'd stop following darkness right away, because they'd know this is a cause and effect plane, and the effects of doing that are not good. But they're victims of that illusion. They're addicts, and they keep pursuing a seductive false goal, and they know it's wrong, and they can't break away from it, which is not intelligent. It's the behavior of an addict on the ultimate high level. There is a way that they could get help, but they're not looking for that consciously right now. So their top priority is to keep you unconscious because they know what you are. And if you break away all the ego junk, all the identities, all the fake identities, the thinking that you're your current body, which you're just in for a short time, or that you're your fancy ideas or your beliefs or your nationality or anything, they want you to keep being stuck on that. They don't want you to get what's behind that, who you've always been before you even came here. So they've been running programs to dumb us down over many years and made the current crisis possible because of the dumbing down, so that you'd fall for the idea of the I have to remember what platform we're on. I can't say it. The current crisis that they want you to be terrified of. There's two of them, actually. One is about your health, and the other is about climate change and global warming. Those are both being used to enslave and kill everybody. You need to become conscious enough to the point where you understand that and then can decide what to do in response. Whether we can break the trance, break out of the dumbing down program, so we stop falling for all this stuff and drop all the ego nonsense and just be interested in what's real. Can we do it soon enough to turn this all around? I think that's the question. Because right now they're moving quickly. They're at the top, they're moving quickly because they're worried that they're not in time. And they've spent everything they've got in their time and everything they have in this agenda to be able to complete it. Enslavement followed by extermination. It's not population reduction, it's population elimination. You don't wipe out all the ecosystems on the earth if you're planning to be the next resident. It doesn't work that way, and they're clearly doing that. So can it be turned around? It doesn't take a majority. It takes a serious minority. I don't know what size. It depends on the quality we give it. Willing to do the work it takes to become self-aware and drop all the fake identities that we've been carrying around our whole life and much longer than that. I think there's still time, and I think that's what we could do. So I'm just inviting anybody that's interested, consider that. It looks on a physical level. If you understand the depth of the negative agenda, it doesn't look hopeful right now. But there are spots of awakening all over the world. There are people who are starting to question everything, which is what we need to have. If somebody tells you that something is essential for your health and it's approved by the government, which may or may not be true, but even if it is true, you have to say, okay, let me check it out. For your own life, you're the fact checker. And don't go by habit of what you think you have to say is true or false. Find out. Be brave enough. And I think we have time. I actually think we still have time. So we're over time. I got to get ready for the major real Lost Arts Radio live show, which you're invited to, and help spread the links, because we're heavily shadow banned all over, and they're figuring that that's enough, and we need it not to be. So share it if you would. Go to lostartsradio.com to stay up with where we're still allowed to be on the air. New platforms, some of them audio, some of them audio and video. And if you want to help us stay on the air, there's a donate button there that's highly appreciated. But if you don't have money, that's fine. Just share the links. And there's a subscribe star link also to help us stay on the air. Either one of those works great. There's a Sunday show tomorrow that's going to be incredible. And not going to mention the guest right now, but they've all been exceptional. And the lady on tomorrow is a famous constitutional attorney that you'd like to hear from. And I'd like to see you there anyway. So main message, take care of yourself. You're much more important than you may have realized. And the contribution you can make to the world is unlimited. No matter what you're doing in life, you can be a ditch digger, an engineer, a scientist, a garbage collector, a housewife, or a house husband, or a child in school, whatever. You're incredibly powerful. It's the secret that they're most afraid of coming out. So find out, get your health back, get your physical health back. Find out the real health information that is violently suppressed in this country and most of the world. Use it. It's still available. And then work on the inner part. It's much easier when your physical body's not giving you a lot of trouble. Anyway, there's much more we can say. We'll say some more of it on Lost Arts Radio Live. And if you can make it there, I'll see you in a few minutes. Have a good night.